Throughout India, cattle navigate the streets with complete freedom, often bringing major urban traffic to a standstill. For hundreds of millions of citizens, honoring the cow is part of their daily routine. They offer food and perform religious rituals, known as pujas, to show their deep reverence for the animal. This cultural devotion is reflected in the legal system. 20 out of India's 28 states have enacted domestic laws that severely regulate or entirely ban the slaughter of cattle. Yet, despite these strict domestic laws, India consistently ranks as one of the top 3 largest beef exporters in the world. This chart shows India's export volume compared to other major global meat suppliers. In the 2024 to 2025 financial year, India shipped over 1.25 million metric tons of meat overseas, generating more than $4 billion in revenue. These two realities appear to be in direct opposition. To understand how they coexist, we have to look at how this reverence evolved. The taboo against cattle slaughter traces back thousands of years to the ethical principle of ahimsa. Ahimsa is the ancient Indian concept of nonviolence and respect for all living things, championed early on by Jainism, Buddhism, and Hinduism. Over millennia, ancient Vedic texts explicitly condemned violence against cattle, equating their protection with spiritual purity and moral duty. Central Hindu deities are intrinsically associated with cows. The god Krishna, for instance, is frequently depicted alongside cattle, cementing the animal's divine status in the cultural mind. Historically, this respect was also driven by economic necessity. Cattle were vital to agrarian survival, providing essential dairy for nutrition, dung for fuel and fertilizer, and labor for plowing fields. Because this anti-slaughter sentiment forms a foundational pillar of Indian identity, maintaining a massive meat export market requires a specific legal and biological workaround. While the international market generally categorizes the product India sells as beef, India specifically trades Kara beef. Kara beef is the meat of the water buffalo, rather than the traditional cow. This industry relies on separating 2 distinct species, the revered Indian humped cow, Bos indicus, and the water buffalo, Bubalus bubalus. While the humped cow is sacred across most of the country, the water buffalo does not share that religious status or historical reverence. Instead, the water buffalo is viewed as a utilitarian livestock animal, primarily bred for heavy agricultural labor and dairy production, before being processed for meat. The Indian Constitution manages this division through Entry 15 of the state list. This provision grants individual state governments the exclusive power to regulate the preservation, protection, and slaughter of livestock within their borders. The Supreme Court of India has upheld state laws protecting cows. However, under this decentralized framework, states hold the authority to permit water buffalo slaughter. By drawing a hard line in biological taxonomy, India created a legal loophole where a parallel meat industry thrives without violating religious traditions. To manage this delicate balance on a global scale, India relies on APEDA. APEDA is the Agricultural and Processed Food Products Export Development Authority, the federal agency responsible for managing a controversy-avoidant export strategy. To prevent religious friction, APEDA enforces a strict federal mandate. India only permits the export of boneless buffalo meat. Because cow and buffalo meat look similar, shipping boneless cuts allows inspectors to verify the species, eliminating domestic fears of illegal cow smuggling. This boneless requirement also aligns with the guidelines set by the OEI, the World Organization for Animal Health. The OEI is an international body that recommends deboning meat to prevent the transmission of foot and mouth disease across borders. This creates a highly trusted global supply chain. Major international buyers in Vietnam, Egypt, Malaysia, and Saudi Arabia rely heavily on this strictly verified process to meet their domestic protein demands. Through strict federal compartmentalization, India successfully navigates a domestic religious minefield and turns it into a highly regulated global export. Moving from the slaughterhouse to the shipping ports, the scale of logistical infrastructure required to move billions of dollars of processed meat becomes apparent. These meat exports fuel India's broader foreign trade policy, an aggressive federal strategy aiming for $1 trillion in annual merchandise exports. To hit these targets, the federal government actively incentivizes agricultural and processed food exports, building specialized testing facilities and streamlining customs clearances for the meat sector. This creates a structural contrast in how the country is governed. Local state governments focus on enforcing socio-religious laws at the community level, while the federal government operates above that, driving global trade. This dual approach allows India to compete directly against global meat-producing giants like Brazil and the United States, without compromising the core cultural identity of its population. The result is a strategy of economic compartmentalization. By carefully separating species, laws, and levels of government, ancient reverence and modern global capitalism coexist by never intersecting.